Well, Newzroom Afrika senior reporter Tumaole Mohlaoli is in studio to help us unpack just some of the new regulations. And Tumaole, effectively what it means is that there are 3 regulations now that remain in place in this transitional period.
Yes, of course. The 3 regulations would be, of course, the sanitizing. Of course, it will also be about the social distancing, and we know that in social distancing it means that there's still regulations about how many people can gather in closed spaces, and the wearing of masks as well. When it comes to being out in the open, people can opt whether to wear a mask or not, but if they are in closed areas like churches, like places of business, like schools, like taxis, you have to have your mask on. And this in a bit to ensure that the coronavirus variant that is now with us does not spike and we don't see increased infections, because that might mean if we see a spike and infections reaching a certain level that is deemed to be quite concerning to state levels or alarming, then of course we would have to return to the previous regulations.
And of course, for people who are coming into the country, you still need to provide that PCR test that shows that you're not positive for COVID-19.
Yes.
And if indeed you do test positive at the border, you do need to isolate for the mandatory 10-day period. It does say a lot, though, in terms of the opening of the economy, the lifting of these restrictions. The big question now is, how long does it take for us to transition into this I don't want to say post-pandemic, but post-state of disaster, South Africa?
Yeah, so basically to transition into post-state of disaster, to go back to the old normal, if one would want to put it that way, it would just be a period of about maybe a month or so, just so that, the health department and other experts can monitor exactly what's going on and what the virus is doing in terms of new infections and in terms of perhaps even new variations, to see exactly how the new lifted regulations are impacting in terms of the numbers on the ground, because the numbers will tell a story as to how the population is reacting and how the new lifting of those particular old regulations will be adapting. But on the issue of economy, Michelle, you make a very good point, because especially the tourism sector has been crying out and saying that the tourism and entertainment sector, which would go hand in hand, saying that businesses are on their knees if they weren't already on their knees, and this would be a welcomed development, because it essentially means that welcoming people into the country will be able to allow the sector to create more jobs, will allow the sector to absorb more people, which means that the unemployment numbers come down a bit, and reliance on the grant, the emergency grant that has been extended, will also just ease the pressure thereon, and this will be welcome news.
Yeah, absolutely. Every job created does count. Tumaole Mohlaoli, thanks very much indeed for coming into studio. President Cyril Ramaphosa, in that address to the nation last night, also stressing that it really is up to each and every one of us now on this next phase of the pandemic.